What is going on? Welcome back to another episode of Alicia Layman's Arse. It's become a little bit of a thing on this channel, really. And it's actually, I think the real name for the podcast is actually Opinions from Offside. And we've got some more opinions. And underneath, sitting on our guest's face today, underneath Alicia Layman, we've got the brilliant Beany. Reveal yourself, Beany. What's going on, Beany?
You're right. I mean, for want of trying to get out of a marriage, I wouldn't mind being sat on her ass, but as long as my wife doesn't watch this, it don't matter.
Is she not a football fan? Is she like to watch?
I don't know. I'll have to ask her.
We'll edit that bit out then. Well, listen, we've got a Beany man today. Was you the geezer that sung Zim Zimmer? Who got the keys to me beamer? That was you, wasn't it? Beany man?
I'm not so sure.
No, that's a different one. This is Man Like Beany.
Oh, this is Man Like Beany.
Right. So I've known Fraser for probably about 15 years, but it's always been when I'm on like a stag do or my own stag do. The story goes on my stag do, I had an allergic reaction to a group of females that were dancing on me. So all my mates got me a stripper for my wedding, for my stag do. Right. And I'm allergic to the soap that they put on, like the soap that they put on the boobs and rubbed it in my face.
You got strippers that use soap. You're lucky. I don't normally get them ones.
Shaving foam it was, actually.
Shaving foam.
Oh,
so
was it?
So he was on the bar at the time, and I got to the bar, and I'm burning. Like, my face was actually burning. I had like a stripe. Do you know, like do you remember Southampton's home kit, that had the white with a red stripe? That's how I looked, like a drumstick squashy.
Oh,
honestly, it was horrendous. Bad. But do you know what? I mean, dare I say that it were worth it?
Well, you got to DJ because of that.
Don't get me started on that. That's Richie's fault.
Right. So you'll love this one, Mike. The story goes, right, Beany's had his stag do. He's become a friend of the bar now. Right. We've got Richie Husser, who was DJ at the time. Now, this was when Richie was fun time Richer. This was Budweiser Richer. He was always had a Budweiser in his hand, punching himself in the chest, bobbing head. Anyone who knows Richie will know about bobblehead Richer. And Richie just got to the point where, Beany, do you know how to use this? Yeah, I can use that. Right, come and DJ. He walked off, went to the toilet. 20 minutes later, I'm serving, look across. It's like, God, why are we playing 5? It's like 12 o'clock at midnight. And Beany's going, Richie said I could play what I want. And he's just rocking out a bit of 5. Crowd's loving it. What more can you ask for? Right, Man Like Beany.
It was when
antihistamine and some Dex.
the funniest thing was when somebody was trying to get served, and they went up to me and they went, "Can you get me a beer?" And I was like, "No, why? I don't work here."
Behind the bar.
I don't work here. And the next song is coming on, and I'm just about to I'm using Richie's laptop and stuff, and they're like, "Can I get a drink?" No, why? I don't work here. And I'm like, there's staff everywhere. Like, just go and find a member of staff. Meanwhile, I'm drinking something that's just been made by one of bar staff, by Fraser. And he's going, "Can I get another drink?" No, mate. Why? Don't work here. And he couldn't comprehend the fact I was telling him the truth.
Because he'd behind the bar.
Behind the bar. Well, you'd assume that you'd be working there if you were behind a bar of some description, but it just, it was wild. Like, back in there, it was funny, fun times.
It's all fun and games until a dirty stripper sits on your face, gives you an allergic reaction. But as you can probably tell from Beany's accent and his beautiful top that he's adorning and our colour scheme, I know I couldn't get white font, I've got to work it out. We are featuring today Dirty Leeds. We're featuring Leeds. So let's roll all the way back, Beany. Where I can obviously tell from your accent you're from that neck of the woods. Is it just a local thing, or is it in the blood? Is it in the family? Where do your Leeds come from?
So it's a bit of both, really. So I am from Leeds originally, but yeah, I mean, it's obsession because my dad, to be fair, my dad's been going since he was like 4. He's like 60, 63 now. So he watched all the glory years when Leeds were the best team in the country. By a mile.
Bremner and them. Yeah.
Billy Bremner, he's seen all them. So whenever we do like obviously we're going to be going through like an 11, but when he does his 11, it always trumps mine. It's always going to trump mine. He just goes 1 to 11 for every team. Like, there's no better than that 11. There's nobody in my era that will ever get in that team. So, he's like, I don't care. We're not having this conversation. So, he went to the European finals in the 70s. So, yeah, he's well versed in it. He's seen all the trophies.
So it's a similar thing in my 1 to 11 with West Ham, which would have like Julian Dix and Rio Ferdinand, but God rest him, my granddad's not here now, but when he speaks about his, it's like Bobby Moore and Billy Bonds, Jeff Hurst, Martin Peters. It's like ridiculous, like a different ball game. That glory era for us really in the 60s and early 70s. So what's your earliest memories of Leeds? And have you been over there to Ellen Road much?
Yeah, so Fraser will tell you this from years gone by. I go to every home and away game at the moment. So
away as well?
Yeah, I've not missed an away game for probably pre-COVID. If you take COVID out of the equation where we couldn't go to the games, you're probably talking 7 or 8 years since I last lost it. I think, in fact, when was my daughter born? 2016 was the last time I missed an away game. Rotherham United away. It was in 26th of November 2016 to be exact.
Wow.
So yeah, I tend to do my holidays over the football fixtures. My own wedding. I had my honeymoon during the international break in September. So I got married in the July. International break was the wedding, honeymoon, just so that I didn't miss a game. So first game I was 4. I've had a season ticket since. My first memory is the Liverpool Leeds 4-3 game where Yeboah scored the wonder goal, the one that hit the crossbar and hit it about 4 times, and David James couldn't see a thing because it was that hard. But we won't get into that.
Shouldn't have an erection on the football pitch, to be honest.
Unbelievable.
Every time I get a semi.
Was that your first game you attended live?
I don't know if it was the first game I ever went to, because you'd have to ask me that because I was quite young.
Yeah.
But it's the first memory of a game where I was. So I've got a few memories from early days. One where my mum tried to ban me from a game, but I still went, and we beat Derby 4-3. We were 3-1 down at half time, and Lee Bowyer scored in the 94th minute. I'd have been 7 at that point, because I had a fight on a football pitch when I was playing for my school. But yeah, 94, 95 was probably the first season I went. That was probably around the year that Yeboah were like scoring wonder goals for fun. But yeah, that was my earliest memory. And then obviously I've got all the memories from the last 5 or 6 years myself. Champions League nights in the early 2010s. Sorry, 2000s it will have been. Sorry, 2010s. We were in League One then. Yeah, been there, done that. Seen us get 15 points deducted. Seen us go through about 3 bankruptcies.
Wow.
Some of the worst owners we've ever had. Some of the worst managers we've ever had. Yeah, no comment on some of the managers. We hired a bloke called David Ockaday, who was a sports teacher in like Swindon. He lasted about 6 weeks. Cellino used to fire managers for fun back in them days. So yeah, but yeah, we've had some good players, but yeah, just love going with my dad. To be fair, just without my dad, I won't be going, to be honest.
Mate, what a brilliant episode this is going to be. Super fan, loving it already, Beany. I'll tell you what, you have had some good players, and I've not been well this week, but I just sat down and was just like recalling some of the players I've seen at Leeds. And again, you go back to that golden era sort of before our time, which doesn't really qualify because we tried to cap it sort of from 92, like the beginning of the Premier League era kind of thing. I know we're not really strict on it. We don't mind 1 or 2 from a little bit before that. But yeah, just you're spoiled for that's why I said about potentially you going up to face the champions at the moment, Liverpool in the AI fantasy match, because you have had some, praise and name, but you have had some unbelievable players. Can I just ask you 2 quick things?
Yeah.
From an outsider looking in, I always felt like O'Leary in that team that got you to the semis of the Champions League. I always felt like he piggybacked a little bit off the back of George Graham and his team and the defence he had there. Am I right in saying that, or am I not giving him credit?
I don't think O'Leary would have been successful if he'd not had George Graham's sort of managerial time at Leeds. So when George Graham came in, we were leaking goals left, right, and centre. We weren't winning games. I remember George Graham came in off the back of us getting beat 4-0 against, I'm going to call them scum. Am I allowed to call them scum on this?
Manchester United.
Call it what you want, mate.
So that's the only time you let me say that phrase, that team name. We'll call them scum. Mate,
that's going to be our next question. We're going to talk about the rivalry United.
So we got beat 4-0 at home to scum, and Karol Poborski scored for them that day. And I remember saying to my dad, how many games do you think we'll get rid of Wilkinson? And they sacked Howard Wilkinson that weekend, and we brought George Graham in, and we literally, I think we conceded the least goals in the league the rest of that season because he just tightened the ship. We didn't score many, but we didn't concede many. The real the real hero amongst that time were Eddie Gray, to be really honest, because he was like the academy manager / assistant manager. And he sort of said to O'Leary, if you haven't got much money to spend, we've got 5 or 6 young lads who are ready to come in and absolutely smash it for us. And that's when you saw your Smiths, your Kewells, your Woodgates, Hart, even like Paul Robinson, for example. They were getting a game time. If I'm being honest with you, O'Leary had a lot of money to spend in an era where the only way that you had money is if you finished in the Champions League spots. Back then, it was 3 places to Champions League, and he wanted to keep going, but maybe we were bad in the transfer market at that point. So why would Liverpool get rid of Robbie Fowler for £11 million if Robbie Fowler was their chosen one? It got to a point where he'd lost that yard, which got him the 25 goals a season. He was one of the best strikers the Premier League's ever had. But when he joined Leeds, he was half the player he was. And we were signing players that for big money who just couldn't do it. Whereas you had players signing for...
Would that have been the Ridsdale era? Would it have been Peter Ridsdale was the chairman?
O'Leary was all the Ridsdale era, to be honest with you. So we got in the Champions League with a young side, having spent quite a small amount of money. So the year we got in the Champions League, we didn't even have Viduka in the team. We had Michael Bridges, who scored like 25 goals that season, and he was unplayable. Everything he touched went in. And we had quite a young team. I remember us we actually got in the Champions League. The day we got in the Champions League was at Upton Park, last game of the season. I think we drew 0-0, but we were battered for the entire 90 minutes. But we had to get a point to guarantee Champions League football, and that springboarded us to signing players like Viduka. But then we got a little bit carefree and a bit careless, where money wasn't a thing. Like, you're talking TV money now. The sort of money you were getting back then was like a 10th of what you'd get for finishing 17th now in the Premier League. So you're talking small amounts of money. Even UEFA Cup back then, if you got in the UEFA Cup, it were peanuts. You had to get in the Champions League. And it was Liverpool and Leeds' season, because that same season we got in the semi-final of the Champions League, Liverpool won the UEFA Cup, I believe. Did they not beat Alaves back then?
Yeah, Gary McAllister scored at the death.
Yeah,
scored a free kick.
And because of that, the Champions League ended up with 4 places. But the last season, before we went bust, Liverpool pipped us to third. Funnily enough, Robbie Fowler scored twice in that game. So I remember the game we were at home to Leicester, and I remember it was the first time you could start using the internet on your phone, and everyone would try to find score lines and stuff. But yeah, just wrong era to start spending money is probably the if we'd have been 20 years down the line, I don't think we'd have had an issue, because we were just one position away from probably not being in this state, to be fair. Like,
you took the gamble, yeah.
But to be fair, as a fan, as much as it wasn't good to watch some of the times, I've had some of the best times as a Leeds fan in the absolute dumps of English football. Like, going there just like with the mentality, it's us versus them. It was unbelievable. Like, and I've been able to do a lot of the 92, so that's always a bonus.
Yeah. What's your favourite ground? What's your favourite stadium you've been to away?
Try to think.
Any that stand out as like being nostalgia, or like I quite like the old fashioned proper football stadium.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
I don't like going to Arsenal away. I like going to watch Leeds there, but don't get me wrong, but I prefer Highbury over Emirates. The old White Hart Lane versus the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Like, White Hart Lane was loud, and it was grim, and it was like you were on the edge of, like, there was a pub down road that were giving you abuse. Upton Park over the London Stadium all day. I quite like Blackburn, if I'm being really honest.
Ewood Park, yeah.
You get 7,000 tickets. Away end's always packed. That Darwin end is unreal. My favourite ground to go to if we win a game is Old Trafford. Equally, it's the worst ground in the world when you get beat.
Yeah.
Having said that, we got pumped a couple of seasons at Premier League recently, but the last time we played there, we drew 2 apiece. Nonto scored twice, but we beat them in FA Cup with a League One side. So, and they had Berbatov, Owen, Giggs. They had £70 million of a striker coming off the bench, and they still couldn't score against us. So, I mean, we had Jason Crow and Casper Ankergren. That tells you everything. And the words "who" is very right. Like, so when there's like 9,000 Leeds fans, like it's awesome. But I like proper dumps. Me, I like going and standing. I like standing. Chelsea away was always a good away day for Leeds, but that's because there's always that little bit of needle between Chelsea and Leeds. But then when you see them playing like a Bournemouth, it don't feel the same. Yeah, Fulham's a decent away day as well because they give you a
Craven
load of
Cottage
tickets.
is a weird ground, isn't it?
It's
Because
really weird.
the home and away fans mix in there, and there's
Yeah.
not like any sign of trouble. They're almost like middle class
Yeah,
fans. Like there's no hooliganism. It's like you're all amongst each other.
I was having this very same conversation with a mate of mine who is actually a Fulham fan as it happens, and he was like, he went to Everton away on Saturday, and he was like, it was right nice. We're having a right good conversation up way out of ground with Everton fans. Try doing that with a Leeds fan. That just doesn't happen. A Scouser isn't going to go to a Leeds fan and start having a really polite conversation. It's going to be get away from me.
Yeah.
And that's not a problem. Like I like that. I like having that little bit of needle. I like having that little bit of like. There's that fear factor. There's that noise. There's that like. I remember. I mean, the last time we played at Anfield, we won 2-1, and Somerville scored winner. He's now at West Ham. We won't get into that.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in a bit. Yeah.
But like we've had a fair few results at grounds that you won't expect us to get results, and it's always been when we were like the underdog, which is quite nice. Yeah, I think St James's Park would be a great ground if your away fans weren't up in the Alps.
Oh, you got to have mountaineering gear to get to the top of the stairs. You would have been to Kenilworth. You would have been to Luton, wouldn't you? Kenilworth Road.
Yeah, Kenilworth Road.
That's a strange old ground because you're practically going through people's back gardens to get there, aren't you?
Worst story I've ever heard, ever seen. Sorry, we were playing them in a cup game about 7 or 8 years ago, and this lad had this burger that he just got from a van, and he saw this washing online because there's obviously people's back gardens, and he's gone, "Do you reckon I can hit that washing?" And he's launched this burger at the what? It were all white as well, proper burger with like mustard and ketchup. I didn't want to laugh, but you know when it was at the time when you've had about 6 beers, you find it funny. Like I didn't want to laugh; it was harsh, but at the time it was like great shot, but really bad for her. Like you've done real. But ultimately, why would you have an away end where you have to walk through a back garden of somebody's house to get to?
Crazy.
QPR's a bit like that as well, where you've got to go round the houses to get into the away end, and then you're almost up in between 2 houses.
There's no way I'm throwing a burger away, let alone at 12 quid a pop.
That's what my thought was.
You know what I mean? Just off camera, we were talking, Beany, and you mentioned it a little bit there about the bowling ground, Upton Park, over the London Stadium. You said your experience as a fan going to the bowling Upton Park, you felt it was intimidating and close? Yeah,
I mean, look, I never felt for 1 second that I was going to be in some sort of danger. But do you know when there's that little bit of needle where you think, do you know what? I hope we win today because I really want that person in front of me that's shouting at me, nearly spitting at me. But to be fair, the last time we played at the Billing ground, so Upton Park, we drew 2 apiece. It was in the Championship, and Adam Clayton scored the win, like an equaliser in the 95th minute. Scott Parker was in the Championship playing for you at that point. And I just remember some guy in front of me, and I was winding him up for the entire 90 minutes. And in all fairness, I probably deserved it, but he looked at me and he says, "I am going to chin you." Like, he even said it, and you could hear him. But the away end, I was right in the corner, and the home end was right near you. And it was literally like maybe a row of policemen straight there. So it gave you that little bit of edge. When you go to a nice ground and seats are padded and everyone's like, "Ooh, nice." Like the worst ground I've ever been to, MK Dons, without a doubt, right? There were people giving you like sweets as you walked in. Like, I want a policeman to give me a bit of a like talking to, like, behave. Like, there's always that bit of edge when you've had a few beers, you're with your mates, you get to a ground and there's an atmosphere and it's really loud and it's intimidating. It makes you want to go even louder and it makes you want to compete. When there's no one competing with you, it feels a little bit like, well, we don't even need to try here.
No, well, that's the London Stadium, as you said. It's a soulless bowl. There's no vibe there. There's no atmosphere. When I've gone over there, you can't even get a song going because if you stand up and you're singing, people look at you like you're weird. Just moving from my team back onto yours and to your rivalry. Like, give us your thoughts on Man United, where the rivalry originates, because I don't really know. It can't just be geographically because there's grounds closer to you. And when you've told us about that, tell us about what you think about their situation at the moment, which I think you'll enjoy.
So, I mean, I'm not 100% certain where the rivalry comes from, if I'm being really honest. I've asked my dad about it a few times, and like, I just grew up being told to hate them and call them scum. You don't even call the airport by the city. You call it Stockport Airport because it's near Stockport. Like, and if you get in a train to that city, you go, I'm off to Scum, and people notoriously know what you're talking about. So what you're doing and they'll go, what you're doing in Scum? Like, look, the fact is they hate us just as much as we do, and if you ask any supporter of either club, they'd want to be playing each other twice a season. That's just because I want them to fail doesn't mean I don't want to play them every year. That's the thing that I would say. So, but apparently it dates back to like the 60s and the 70s where there was that entitlement, and I think you saw it in the 90s, like there was that entitlement that they automatically deserved to be in the top 4 or the top 2 or deserved to win trophies just because of who they were. And obviously they had a real big spelling, like I won't talk about the sort of tragedies and stuff like that, but they had a massive rebuild. And at that moment when they were rebuilding, we were doing really, really well. And there was almost that. I don't want to say it's like this. There's a bit of jealousy between the two clubs. Like I'm jealous of their trophy cabinet. Let's get into real facts. Like I'd love to win the trophies they've won. I'd also not like to be in the situation they're currently in, which is great. But look, the fact is there's been this hatred of between the two clubs. There's obviously there's that Lancashire Yorkshire sort of element, but we don't seem to have that sort of same rivalry with Blackburn, Bolton, Preston. I think it's just because they were both in the same league at the time. They both had their big spells of clubs where they were both good. We were the best team in the world at one point during the 70s. And then Liverpool became the best team in the world over a bit of time. And then Villa won the European Cup a couple of times. And then Forest did it and all that sort of stuff. So, like, I just think it's just that rivalry of probably jealousy, I suppose.
How big a deal was...
I don't know the origins.
No, how big a deal was your academy boy, Alan Smith, going to United? Was that betrayal? Is he a Judas now in your eyes?
No, because stories have come out since that have almost made him sort of realise that actually, had he not gone to them, we'd have been in serious trouble. So it was Peter Lorimer, God rest his soul, before he passed away. He said like he had an interview probably a couple of years before he passed where he turned around and sort of said, look, it was him and Alan Smith having a chat, and Peter Lorimer actually said to me, he goes, without you, we'd have struggled. Like, they were the only club willing to pay the full amount in transfer fees, and they weren't willing to do it over instalments. Everton were the only club interested, and Everton wanted to give them like half up front, half based on like appearances and trophies. They were the only club willing to give it. He also he basically gave away his own signing on bonus, which went to the club. And let's be really honest, right? They were the best club in the country, if not the world, at that point in time. We'd just been relegated to the Championship or the Sky or whatever, Division 1 at the time, whatever it was. Tell me any footballer in the world that's not going to go and join the best club in the world at that moment in time to go win trophies, earn a lot more money than he probably was at Leeds, and be in the Premier League. And he had that 1.5 season before he broke his leg where he was unplayable and he was scoring every week. There was a story that happened just after that, after he signed for them, where a group of Leeds fans went to go brick his house. Only they got the wrong house. So they bricked next door neighbour's house. They got the wrong house. They got the right street, just got the wrong house. But the thing is, he was never a Leeds fan. He was never ever actually a Leeds fan. He was a Liverpool fan growing up. The story goes he was actually a Liverpool fan. Because Gary Kelly always says it. He walked in and there was like posters of like Liverpool players, and he said, you might want to keep it that you're not a Leeds fan. But look, it doesn't matter who you support. It doesn't matter what. The fact is he came in, did really well for Leeds, give everything for the shirt, and got his big move as a result. So, I mean, I've got no hard feelings toward him, to be really, really honest.
Superb. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get into your 1 to 11 now. We've got a little bit of colour on where you are. I think we're each going to go around in our respective positions. We're all going to sort of do it sort of goalkeeper, then we'll go through the defence, through the midfield and up front, whatever formation you want. The only real rule is that, as we said earlier on, it's sort of pretty much from the beginning of the Premier League era, so we're not having like Billy Bremner or, you know, Eddie Gray played for you and all, didn't he? Wasn't he a midfielder?
Yeah, I mean, he did everything for us, to be really honest. He was probably our best ever winger. then
Yeah.
managed us, then was assistant
Is
manager.
he any relation
managing
to
manager.
Archie Gray?
Yeah, it's his great uncle.
Ah,
So
no.
his brother's grandson.
Beautiful. Right, so let's start with the goalkeepers, and you can kick us off, Beany. When I was looking over earlier on, you're pretty sport for choice, and you've had some good goalkeepers, including the goalkeeper you've got now. Apart from that Rick the other week where it went seemed to go through his hands, but he's a good young goalie. But
Yeah,
you've had some good keepers.
I mean, yeah, we have. I mean, the one keeper that I will pick, and it's the only keeper that I could probably pick out of the group that we've got, is probably Nigel Martin. I had to pick Nigel Martin. The only keeper, unfortunately, that didn't get the England caps he deserved, because he had somebody next to him who was unbelievable in David Seaman. It was a top 5 keeper every season he played for Leeds. He was in the top 5 keepers in the league every year. And he got us out of a jam. He was just unbelievable. He had everything as a goalkeeper would want. And one of the nicest blokes you'll ever meet. He was never a problem. I mean, honourable mention probably goes to Paul Robinson. But I had to go with Nigel Martin just because Paul Robinson came through the club at a time where we were struggling. Nigel Martin was our number 1 keeper from the minute we paid £1 million for him. He's the first. I think he's the first keeper ever to have cost like £1 million. I think we paid 2.5. Actually, with Palace that paid £1 million. Yeah, had to pick Martin. He had everything.
Brilliant. I've got Nigel Martin between the sticks as well. Who have you gone for, Kanye?
Well, I knew you'd go for Nigel Martin, so I wanted to keep it fresh and keep the options open. So I went for big Paul Robinson. I went from within. Leeds are known for producing. Let's keep producing. I went for Robbo. Ordinarily, I'd have picked Martin. Martin was one of my favourites.
I think you could pick either, to be fair. I think justified to pick either keeper. I just went Martin because pro-choice.
To be fair, I think I'd have gone Paddy Kenner if I had the choice. So that's what I'm saying.
That's it, yeah. I think the tragedy is, I think a lot of neutrals really remember Robinson for the big hash he made, the big mistake he made for England. So
yeah, but he was a Spurs keeper then. You can't expect any different.
No, well, that's it. That's what happens. You end up with holes in your gloves when you're Spursy. Right, so we've got so Kanye's gone for Robinson. Me and Beany have both gone for Nigel Martin. Let's go to you first, Kanye. Who you got a right back?
I've gone for purely because of when I was growing up and I was looking at players, especially when I was looking at my position. Gary Keller stood out for me at Leeds. Just a solid right back. Nothing spectacular. He was basically Gary Neville before Gary Neville. That's my memory of him. Gary Neville wanted to be Gary Keller, so I went for Gary Keller.
You as well, Beany?
Yeah, I mean, I could not pick him. He's a club legend.
That's a hat trick.
He is a club legend. 600 appearances for Leeds. Is it top 10 all-time appearance makers for Leeds? And there was only one club he'd have ever left Leeds for, and that was Celtic. And he never went to Celtic, so he was a one-club man. You don't get many of them nowadays. No. So yeah, had to be Gary Kelly.
Brilliant. I've got Gary Kelly as well, so that's a clean sweep. Give us your left back, Beany. I
mean, we're quite sparse in left backs, if I'm being really honest. It had to be Ian Hart for me.
Looking at his face, because he's got a real problem with Ian Hart, and I like Ian Hart, and I went for Ian Hart. Just the free kicks, and he was a solid left back. But for some reason, you're going to have to debate this with Kanye. Look,
I mean, Kanye might turn around and say that he was slow, and he'd probably be right to say he was. But
wait. 20 seconds. Explain why Ian Hart should be in your all-time Leeds team.
You're talking about Premier League era.
Premier League era. And I'll tell you mine and why I picked mine afterwards.
Right. Okay. So we've got Premier League era. The season we were in the Champions League, he was the best left back in the league by a country mile. Like, there wasn't anybody better. Over 10 goals and assists that season. And he was probably one of the better left backs in the world at that point in time. The only time he really ever got found out is when people could play him with pace. The couple of seasons after, he wasn't particularly great, but that one season, he was unreal.
Right. So that 20 seconds to me being it, you were up here, and now Ian Hart has never been the best left back at Leeds, let alone the best left back in any league, in anywhere. Ian Hart could hit a free kick. He was a poor man's Fabio Aurelio. When you say he only got exposed when someone ran at him, he's playing against a winger. All wingers run at you. He couldn't really pass. He could hit a dead ball. He couldn't really tackle. He couldn't run past people. He couldn't deliver on the move. He had to hit a dead ball. Boy was shit, mate. He was Johnny Wilkinson playing football.
Wow.
Honestly,
don't even get me started.
Don't get me started. That's what you should have started.
Have you had a beer?
Not yet, no.
Fabio Aurelio.
So
Fabio Aurelio was the same. All he could do is hit a dead ball. Couldn't really defend. And Ian Hart was the poor man's version because Aurelio was Brazilian, so he was better. Fact.
I mean, look, that season in Champions League, it stands out for me because he was unreal that season. But we played with two banks of four, attacking defenders a team. You're right. Defensively, if he had a man with anybody with pace, he were limited. I get that. But in terms of ability to defend,
when he couldn't run, pace against him could be anybody.
Yeah, but
I'm not being funny.
Sammy Upia couldn't run, but he was a great defender.
He's not a fullback. He's not a fullback, is he?
No,
he's not being exposed.
No, but I'll tell you who was, and he reminded me of Dennis Irwin.
Different era then. And Irwin defended with a team, and Irwin could defend either side. He was a good tackler, and he was a good individual one-on-one defender. Ian Hart ain't that. I went for Dominic Matteo. Do you know why? Because he was solid. Your Leeds team were known for flair and attack. You can't always attack. So I went for balance. I went for Dominic Matteo at left back. Nothing to do with me at Liverpool, but he played there. He was solid. He did what he did. He defended. His first job is to stop you scoring. There's better players in my team later on that can deliver a ball. If I had no set piece specialist, I'd consider Ian Hart. Until that time, fuck out of here. Shut the front door.
I mean, he is in my list of honourable mentions, is Matteo, in all fairness, to be fair, because Matteo ruined his own career to try and save Leeds in that season in Champions Premier League. I would have had him in my centre-back pairings if I was picking. He's not in my centre-back pairings, but if I was going to, he was more of a centre-back for Leeds more than he played left-back a fair amount of times, but Ian Hart was I mean, look, we've all got opinions, and the fact is Ian Hart was better than Fabio Aurelio.
And you're outnumbered here, Kanye. Two against one. I've gone for Hart as well.
All I'm saying is, which one of us plays fullback? That's all I'm saying.
Well, okay. So I've got more right than you in the striking position. Then is that what you're saying?
Yeah, okay. But I can also play front.
Beany, I can also play fullback. I can't guarantee I'll be any good, but I can play there. Just like Aurelio. Anyway, Beany, give us your centre back pairing as a two and tell us why.
This was tough for me because I had to go head over heart. So my first, if it had been Hart, it'd have been Radaby all day. I had to go Ferdinand and Woodgate. There's always been a saying at Ellen Road that if Woodgate could have kept himself fit and not been injury prone, he'd have been as good, if not better, than Rio. But we signed Rio at the time where he was getting to the point where he needed to play European football. We signed him in the Champions League season for decent money, and he took us to another level defensively. And then he went to them lot and went to another level on that as well. Radaby and Matteo would be honourable mentions in that because they were our four centre backs at Champions League. Well, we had Matteo could play left back and centre back that season, so we had a bit of a combined team. But then they were the four main choices at centre back. Yeah, I had to go Ferdinand and Woodgate.
Was there a question over Woodgate's head when the whole court case thing happened with Bowyer and his head going out the window a little bit? How much do you think that affected him mentally? Because nowadays you've got mental health, and you've got people at the club there to support you. Different era, and he didn't really get that support, did he?
Yeah, no, he didn't. They just left him out to dry. O'Leary put a book out that summer, like literally wrote a book about it. My trials and tribulations with Leeds United, and it absolutely ruined the entire squad. The squad just couldn't trust him at that point after that, and that was like the end of it got to a point where it was just going downhill from there. A bit of a weird one because Woodgate and Bowyer, Dewberry was told at a court case that he had to say if he didn't tell the truth, he could go down himself, but he'd done nothing wrong. He just picked him up from a bad situation, and actually he got a lot of stick from Leeds fans for being a grass and all sorts of stuff, but actually it's transpired that he wasn't a grass and that his hands were tied and he didn't really have any choice. But it did the opposite so Bowyer was unbelievable that season that he had the court case because he used to get the story goes when we played AC Milan in the Champions League, the helipad took him to just near the ground. He turned up, got changed and scored winner. But Woodgate, it did affect him massively, but it was still. He's another one. He came from academy. His first game were at Forest away in I think he scored in his debut. I mean, Real Madrid don't sign a centre-back if they think he's going to be poor. Having said that, he didn't have a great spell at Real Madrid. His debut, own goal and a sending off.
He got a 7. He got marked a 7. Got marked a 7. Scored 2 own goals. Got sent off, and they marked him a 7 out of 10. And Marco, mate, I tell you what, Beany, you can answer this question. We had this as an unpopular opinion a couple of weeks back. Barring fitness, like you just said then, and I think you would be on this side. Man for man, Woodgate was a better defender than Ferdinand.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he could. Ferdinand had really good partners with him. Like, I would argue Vidic was better than Ferdinand. And I have this conversation all the time. Like, if you were asking all-time...
Let me ask Torres.
Yeah, I know, but Torres used to destroy Vidic every season. So every single season you could guarantee if Vidic were playing Torres, Vidic would get sent off. Like that, it was just like kryptonite. Like every player sometimes has kryptonite. Tyrone Mings is Patrick Bamford for some strange reason.
Tyrone Mings is any forward.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I would man for man, he's a better defender than Ferdinand. But in theory, Ferdinand just kept himself fit. Was very, very. He didn't have the injuries, and he could go to another level because he didn't have that. Whereas Woodgate was always. He never had a spell where he didn't have a couple of weeks off or a couple of months off. He had problems from a young age, to be really honest, and he did the best he could with the injuries. But I'd have loved to have seen them two as an England pairing. Like, imagine them two as the England centre backs. Like, that would have, like, John Terry wouldn't have got a look in my opinion. But
so you say that, right? So I'm picking up from what you said, right? You picked Rio Ferdinand in your team.
Yeah.
But you've also said that you thought Vidic was better, and how you described it, Ferdinand had always had a good partner. So do you not feel, because I've spoken about this with Mike before, especially the Liverpool game, where I think as a centre-back partnership, 2-on-1, Ferdinand should be helping Vidic, and he don't. I feel that sometimes Ferdinand shied away from the better strikers.
Quite
do you
possibly,
feel that's the case? If that is the case, are you sure you want to stick with Rio in your back too? Because if that's the case, and it push comes to shove, you're playing against a good striker, and you have no faith in your centre-back to step up. That's why Rio's not my centre-back. Rio's out.
So I think, just quickly, I think the wording is important. I think Rio was a better footballer, technical footballer, but Woodgate was definitely a better defender at the art of defending.
And that's possibly why I've picked the two as a partnership. I think if I didn't have Woodgate, I would probably wouldn't pick Ferdinand. I think you've got a perfect balance of being able to play football and defend. If you've got Gary Kelly, who's a good defender, solid, like you said earlier, you've got that balance. The only problem is as you said, look, there's levels.
Go on, say it. You're going to say it. If anyone runs at Ian Hart, he's in trouble. Go on, say it.
I'm not going to say that. If anybody
That's
runs
what
at
he was going to say.
In trouble. Look, there's arguments. I mean, Lucas Radaby is my favourite ever Leeds player, but not because he was the best defender in the world, not because he was the best footballer in the world, and but because he had every bit of passion and everything that he went through, and he would give his blood for the club. I don't think Rio would have done that, and I don't think Woodgate would have done that. But as pure defenders, they're the two best defenders that I've seen at Leeds. They're the two.
So I'll tell you, Lucas Radaby is in my two. So I've gone for Lucas Radaby and Rio Ferdinand. But I don't, it was a shame you didn't have Rio or Woodgate for that long. It must have only been about an 18-month period you had the two of them together as a pair. Yeah.
Radaby had a really bad injury at Barcelona when we went Champions League and didn't play pretty much that entire season. And he was taking injections for pretty much 18 months, and it ruined his entire career, to be really honest. He had to retire because he had the option of going and having further surgery and he'd be all right for 3 or 4 seasons, or he'd just be playing it. He played centre midfield the last season when we got relegated from the Premier League in 03-04. He was playing centre midfield. He played centre midfield. There was one game we played and it was Matteo and Radaby at centre midfield. That tells you the terrible
ballers.
The terrible. So, that was the state we were in that season. We were having to play cropped centre backs at centre midfield.
Radaby's in mine. I went for Radaby and Woodgate.
Radaby and Woodgate. I thought you were going for Colton Palmer, and no.
Robert Molyneux, I was looking at.
What a player, the Terminator. What a player.
Yeah, I've gone for Radaby and Rio, and you've gone for Radaby and Woodgate. And
Yeah,
he's gone for
Radaby and
Rio and
Woodgate.
Yeah.
But
Look, any two of the three is very, very valid. I don't think there's any argument from any two of them three, if I'm being really honest. I think Radaby would get in it for heart alone, captain, leader.
It'd have to be my captain. I remember watching Radaby. It was good. But the question is, this is where we get interesting now, Beany. What formation are you going for? You've got your back four. Are you having 3-3? Are you having 4?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Talk to us.
I'm going to go 4-3. I'm going to go 4-3-3. But I'm going to play like two almost holding midfielders and one. Well,
you're going for the 4-2-3-1.
No, because I want to play three midfielders. I will actually. No, we will go 4-2-3-1 actually. Because
two holding.
There was one that
one
I
in
was
front.
about.
Is it Eric Backer?
No.
Is it Matthew Jones?
To be fair, during that Premier League era,
Eric Backer was good, mate.
He was very good. He was really good in the air, and he was always there at the box.
He was good.
But yeah, I mean, if I go 4-3-3, I'd pick one player. If I'm going 4-2-3-1, I'd pick a different player. It was like a toss of a coin.
What are you having then? You're having two holdings and one holding?
Yeah, we'll go two holding midfielders, 4-2-3-1.
Give us your two then, Beany. Your two holding.
Batty and Dakar.
Nice.
Oh, Olivier Dakar.
Yeah.
When I wear my intertop, everyone thinks I look like Dakar.
Yeah, David Batty and Olivier Dakar had to be them two. I mean, Olivier Dakar had everything. He had absolutely everything. He could tackle, he could pass, he could shoot. The only thing that he had problematic was the fact that he had Vieira, Petit, Deschamps. He were playing in an era where there was every other player was world class as well. So he just didn't get the credit he probably deserved just because of that.
Yeah, he never got near that French team though. To be fair, I mean, just the players that were there, and that was just defensively. If you tried to play a bit further forward, you've got Zidane in front of you. You know what I mean? Like it's just hard to get anywhere near that national side.
And the thing is, he was probably the one below that group. If I'm being honest, if there was like a player injured, he'd get in the squad. Which makes it sound like he was quality. He had everything.
It wasn't his quality that stopped him. It was the quality around him that killed him. Vieira was a freak of nature.
Team.
Yeah,
he had a once in a generation team, like that Spanish team in 2009. Like
a bit like the Paul Robinson situation, just bad luck who was around you at that time in that era, really. Yeah.
I mean, so moving for Leeds. So
yeah, moving into yours, Kanye. What formation you gone for, and who's your midfield?
You know what? I've gone for a 3 in the middle.
Right.
I've only gone for one holding though.
So give us your one holding.
Would be Batter.
Yeah. So I've got Batty as well. So give us another one of yours, Kanye.
One of my centre mids. I'd have Lee Bowyer.
Would you?
Yeah.
So I've got a controversial.
Go on then. Go on, throw that.
I've got a controversial one. I've gone for McAllister.
McAllister's my other side.
Is it really? Yeah.
Yeah, I went for Bowyer McAllister because any team I've ever seen that plays in 3 in the midfield, they have a man to just literally sit there and break up. They have a man who's the energy and the box to box, and they have a man who's just going to keep the ball moving. And I always look at Liverpool when we had Mascherano, Xabi Alonso, Gerrard, and that was the perfect. I mean, even you could look at Chelsea's Makelele, Essien, Lampard, and that's why I built mine that sort of way to get that sort of balance. So I've got players everywhere that can do a bit of everything but lean one way. So that's why I went for that sort of thing. McAllister just sitting there, Bowyer doing the running around him, and then you've got Batter just kicking people next to him. Great.
Yes, I've got Batty as the destroyer, the ball winner, and I've got McAllister as the passer. I've gone for an old-fashioned 4-4-2. So that's my midfield concluded, Batty and McAllister. Who's your other midfielder, Beany?
So I put Bowyer in there as a 10. So I put him in just like that 2 or 3 years when we were in Europe, he were unplayable.
Wait. Yeah. I picked Bowyer for a reason, right? Are you not having Pablo Hernandez in your 10?
Not a Premier League player. Like he's in my top 5 Premier. He didn't.
I'd have pushed him in.
He played for Leeds in the Premier League, but I would argue that he was a bit part player when he was in the Premier League for Leeds. Like he was in the Championship. One of the best pound for pound signings we've ever, because we got him for free, and it changed our mindset in the Championship. If it wouldn't have been for him, we'd have not got in the Premier League. that season we won the league. He got us out of some absolute holes. Like, we'd win 1-0 and you'd guarantee it with either an Hernandez goal or an Hernandez assist. Pablo's in the top 5 Leeds players I've ever seen, like, in terms of how it made me feel. How watching him on a Friday night at home to West Brom when he scored after 16 seconds, away at Bristol City when everyone's going, Leeds are going to struggle. They've just lost to Derby in playoffs and this is first season game. They're going to struggle. And he scores when it top bin. Like, you just can't replicate them sort of feelings that you get from a player. But yeah,
hell of a player.
That
great to watch.
Here's a good question. Considering you've been up and down the league, because you don't get to ask a Liverpool or United fan this sort of question. Who's your lower league baller? Who's your like Lee Trundle equivalent? Who's your player from the lower league? Jermaine Beckford or?
Probably. I mean, you could argue Ross McCormack had a season where he's got 32 goals.
Yeah, he had a moment, didn't he? He had about a year and a half.
Season where he just was unplayable. Pablo Hernandez. I mean, look, we had a group of them that have all turned
in the lower leagues.
They've all had great careers because of a certain bloke that I've mentioned a few times. But he comes in and Ayling's a bit part. Ayling's like a bang average Championship wing back. He was outstanding that first season when we were in the Premier League. Gareth Southgate mentioned him, and we won't get into the fact that he used to mention loads of players. We won't get into the fact that he was giving caps out for fun. But the fact is he was in the talk of being the next perfect timing. Just get rid of that badge. Pablo Hernandez is the best player we've had in the Championship. That's the best player we had in the Championship of any season we ever had was definitely Pablo Hernandez. There's no question, and I dare ask that there's not many Leeds fans that would argue that Pablo Hernandez was the best player we had in the Championship. I mean, we were finishing 13th every year, and he wouldn't accept that was the right thing to do, and he treated the club with utmost respect, and he did everything for us, and he loved it, and to the point where Leeds fans go and watch his team play. He's a manager of like Castellon-Bean, Valencian area. And there's like hordes of Leeds fans go watch his team play just because he's Pablo Hernandez. Like, it gets silly and it gets a little bit daft, but that's the sort of thing that happens.
It's a good away day, isn't
it? Castellon away.
Yeah, ain't no Tenerife, but it's a good away day.
No, it's not.
We went to say Tenerife, didn't we?
Heliodoro.
Man, like Tenerife, yeah.
Let's have a little recap on Beanie's team. Nigel Martin between the sticks. He's gone for Ian Hart left back, central pairing of Rio and Woodgate, and a right back Gary Kelly. Then he's gone for a midfield 3, 2 holding players of Decor and Batty, and then he's gone for Bowyer in the 10.
Yeah.
So a recap of yours, Kanye. You've gone for Paul Robinson between the sticks. You've gone for Radaby and Woodgate at the back, Kelly on the right. You went
Dominic
for Matteo at left back. No, notice nobody mentioned Dorigo. Tony Dorigo.
Tony Dorigo was the best left back in the league the season we won the league pre-Prem. So I was quite strict with my 11.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just that creeping in before that era.
The season before, we were the best team in the league. Like, before money became the root of all evil and Sky got his hands on it, we were the last true. Everyone says it jokingly, we were the last true champions of English football before it got ruined by Sky and Alex Ferguson.
Is that why you didn't go for Strachan?
It's why I'd have gone for that 11, if I'm being really honest. If it won to 11, that had the balance of everything. It had a little and large combo up top. It had the second best midfield Leeds United's ever had. In Strachan, McAllister, Batty and Speed. And then you had Dorigo at left back, Mel Sterland at right back, Chris White and Chris Fairclough had perfect balance. One was fast, one was strong. And you had John Lukic in net. The only player that you'd probably replace from that team is probably Martin for Lukic. He's probably the only, if you're looking at players that I'm picking. I mean, look, there's flair players, but that would be a typical. Everyone played 4-4-2 back then, and everyone.
Have none of us gone for speed? Have none of us got speed in our?
No.
I did think of it.
Reiterate your midfield again, can you?
I went for Batter,
Bowyer,
McAllister, and Bowyer.
Yeah, so I've only told you 2 of mine because I've gone 4-4-2. So just to recap my team, I've gone for Robinson between the sticks, Kelly right, Hart left, and I went for Rio and Radaby. And then in the midfield, I've gone for Batty, McAllister, and my wingers. I'll give you both wingers. I've gone for Rafina and Harry Kuehl.
Yeah, they're my wingers. So
And
those
your
two
wingers
wingers are
as well?
mine. Yeah, both
Yeah.
mine. I went for Rafinha just because I know there was a couple of. There's no real standout right wingers for me at Leeds at the minute. Like none for what, especially what Rafinha did when he tried his best to try and keep him up. What he was doing, like, yeah, I went for Rafinha. Just Kills at times. Kills a monster. Like, it's just a shame that what Liverpool bought. We paid, what did we pay? 5 plus 2 million add-ons for Kuhl, and I pretty much think he's not one of them where it's not a bargain. We got what we paid for, which was a shame because we were expecting a 20 million player. And it was just a shame with his injuries, and it's just a player, just an absolute baller.
Yeah, I mean, I went for both them on me
Yeah.
left and right. I won't go into Kuhl so much because of the fact Kuhl's not a well-liked person at Leeds. As a human being, he's a wrong un.
I've heard that.
As a human being, he's an absolute wrong un. But as a footballer, he was unbelievable. He was one of them players that everybody loved. And people have masked the fact that because they hate him so much now, they've masked how good he was as a footballer back then.
Yeah, a bit like Payet for us, really.
Yeah. Look, the fact is he could win a game on his own. He was electric. He had electric pace. He had a thunderbolt of a left foot. He could do everything. He probably left Leeds one season too late because when he joined Liverpool, he'd had a couple of really bad injuries. But that season is sort of like just before we got into the Champions League, and then just after, he would probably argue one of the best left wingers in the league, if not top 2, top 3. Rafinha's arguably the best player I've seen in Premier League for Leeds. Like, when I go about my top 5 players I've seen at Leeds in my lifetime, Rafinha's like in my top 2. Pablo's the second. Even though he didn't play Premier League, Pablo did things with a football that he could nutmeg a mermaid.
I love that.
Honestly,
I'm having that. That's in the top pocket.
Rafinha. Rafinha is the only player that I've ever seen at Leeds where I've turned around and said to my dad, enjoy him this season because he won't come back this season. He won't be back at Leeds next season. The season we stayed up against Brentford, he probably single-handedly kept us up in that season. There were things he did with the football. He used to hug the touchline. He was quick. He was tenacious. He could cross. He could pass. He could shoot. He could dribble. He used to get back loads. People saw him for the attack-minded stuff. But under Bielsa, Jesse Marsh ruined the fitness of the players, with the exception of probably Rafinha, because he was another level. And he's obviously since gone to Barcelona, and he's arguably the best player in the world at the moment. Have you seen his goals and assists this season? I'm not saying he's the best player in the world, but he's arguably on form, one of the best players in the world at the moment.
Just listen, Linda.
Harry Kane. Just listen, I want to go back to the Harry Kuhl thing because I know nothing about it. Without going too far, what can you tell us about him?
So essentially, he joined Galatasaray towards the back end of his career. So 2 Leeds fans got killed in Turkey in, I want to say 99, 2000. It was in UEFA Cup. And I mean, my dad were friends with a pair of them, to be fair. So played Galatasaray in a UEFA Cup game, both got killed. And they were murdered. Let's get in them. In all fairness, there were some people there looking for trouble. The 2 people that were there that got killed weren't looking for trouble. They were just sat there having a beer with their mates. Look, as you've seen in press last week when Fenerbahce played Scum, and there was that trouble in Istanbul again. Similar sort of thing happened. Red rag to a bull, they come attack. Unfortunately, the 2 lads didn't make it. They made us play that game on the Thursday night. That happened on the Wednesday. We tried to postpone the game. UEFA turned around and said, "No, we've got to play that game." None of the play. There was a podcast. I think it was like a podcast recently with Nigel Martin did like an interview where he said none of us wanted to play that game, but we were told we had to for financial reasons. So Harry Kuhl played in that game. Harry Kuhl was there when we did we played Arsenal that Sunday. There was loads of tributes, and every year since then we turn us backs for the whatever minute the year is. So we had the anniversary of it. So 2000, we had the 20th anniversary in 2020, and we turned us backs. So every year, if you're around the 5th or the 5th of April, whatever games we play that game, whatever minute it is the year, we turn us backs for Chris and Kev. And basically for that entire minute, we don't watch the game. And because if there's a real famous picture at Leeds, when we played at Galatasaray, every single fan that was in the ground turned their backs and didn't watch the game. out of respect for the player, the fans. So he joined Galatasaray. Look, he had to look after his family. If the only club that's coming in and giving you money is them, look after your family. But it's what he said in the press that was the worst thing. We all got annoyed that he joined them, but it's what he said he had an interview when he said he wanted to bring the two clubs together. That ship sailed 24 years ago when the two lads got killed. Look, I've never forgiven him for joining them in the first place. But then when he said that, it become an instant hatred towards him. And he's not welcome back in Leeds. I can tell you that now. In fact, his wife worked at Emma. It worked in, like, she was on Emmerdale or something like that. And she doesn't set foot in Leeds anymore because Leeds fans will call him he supports murderers, basically.
Shit. Bloody hell.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Look, the fact is he probably thought it was the best thing for his career. And to be fair, he probably doesn't have any affinity to Leeds. Again, he was another one that was a Liverpool fan growing up. He joined his favourite club when he joined Liverpool. Did he deserve to win a Champions League medal after playing like 7 minutes and then coming off with an injured hand? I don't know. But that's me being angry towards the fact that I don't think he deserves me telling me, look, as a footballer, as exceptional as a human being, deplorable at best.
Sad. So let's get through your 11 and give us you got one remaining place, I believe. Give us your centre forward. Is it another Aussie?
I'd be very, very disappointed if the three of us haven't got the same one on this one. It's got to be mine.
I can tell you right now, we haven't.
No, because I've got two tonight.
He's got two.
You've got two, haven't you? You've got two.
He's got two. And I purposely, there is that side. I keep thinking of the wrong way around. He's got two. And I've went for someone from early Premiership era just because he was horrible to play against and he did his bits. And that's why I like him.
That might be my other one.
Could be, yeah.
Viduka for me.
Yeah, thought it would be.
Absolutely.
Great player.
Wizard.
No Keane, though. No Robbie Keane.
He's another one that signed for Leeds for like £11 million, played a bit part. Probably did more when he left.
You got good money back for him, though.
Yeah, we did. We did get we got near enough the same amount back that we paid for him. But at that point, we had Viduka, Smith, Kewell, Bridges, and then we signed Keane and Fowler. We didn't need another two strikers that were all what you'd class as frontline strikers. Just coming at the wrong time. I think if we'd have had Keane and Viduka, I think that would have been the partnership for me.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do look at that
partnership
and look at it and go, they look at the Keane from Spurs as if it's the Keane from Leeds, and it's not. He wasn't the same. I mean, who did you get him from?
We bought him from Inter Milan.
Did you the ones that brought him straight back? Yeah, because he went from Coventry to Inter, didn't he?
To Milan and then back.
Yeah.
So Viduka's one of my two. Who's your one, Kanye?
Who's yours? Come on, talk to me. Who's your two?
Jimmy Floyd.
Jimmy Floyd
Hasselbaink and Viduka.
No, I've not got none of them. Mine was a toss-up between Bridges. Bridges. You know what? I love Michael Bridges. I thought he was brilliant. He was good. He was gangly, and he was wiry strong. He pushed off a lot of people. He weren't a big dude. He was good. But I went, just because of the way I wanted to play as a balanced team, I went for Brian Deane. I went for big Brian Deane.
Brian Deane, wow. I've seen him score 4 goals at home to QPR in Championship. We won 6-0. And he scored 4 of the 6. What a player, by the way.
Right, so in the interest, I know you've got to be away at 7, so I'm going to whiz through my honourable mentions. So people that didn't get in my team that I considered: Robinson, Palmer, Dewberry, Bowyer, Decourt, Tony Yeboah, Bridges, Beckford, Smith, Keane, Fowler, and my manager. So my 3 subs would be Dewberry in defence, Decourt in midfield, and Alan Smith up front. So give us your 3 subs, Beany: defender, midfielder, a striker, and a couple of honourable mentions.
Radaby would be my subs given the centre backs that I've picked. Radaby, Calvin Phillips, and I'd go Jimmy Floyd if I'm honest with you. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink could be my striker. Honourable mentions: Smith, Yeboah, Bakker. You could even say players that played in the last couple of years for Leeds, like Alioski was an absolute nutter. But he had that one season where he was unbelievable. Stuart Dallas turned into a prime centre midfielder for one season. He's up there, injured.
He was a better left back than Ian Hart.
I mean, I'm not having that because he won me a lot of money at centre midfield, so we won't get into all that. So yeah, there's a fair few. I mean, Pablo would get in any team that I'd pick from the Championship era. Just not quite in terms of Premier League. Didn't really do much for Leeds. Rodrigo had a couple of half seasons where he was unbelievable. No, look, there was a spell where he was scoring every week. I'm not saying he was I'm not saying honourable mention. I'm saying that he was in my head in terms of strikers, but there's 5 or 6 strikers that were far better than he was. Like, you could pick any one of the 4 that played. Bridges is up there. Bridges had one season where he was unbelievable. Unfortunately, he had legs that were made out of Walker's crisps.
Weetabix.
You got glass ankles, bless him.
Yeah.
Right, so Kanye, give us your subs and honourable mentions.
You know what? Just because I knew everyone would go for Rio, I didn't break Rio. I had Big Dubre as my centre, as my spare defender. My centre midfielder. Who did I have? I can't remember if it was Hernandez. It might have been Decor actually. Probably with Decor because of the lookalikes. And then my spare forward would have been Bridges. I thought Bridges was a bit of everything. He was always good, but I purely went for Brian Dean just because he was a bully boy and he was just a unit. He did a bit of everything. And the way I looked at it is, if that's my team, he would bring the best out of Rafinha and Kuhl because of what he would do. He'd do the dirty work that they couldn't do. So,
who's your manager, Kanye? I'm having Bielsa because just the way he played.
Yeah, see, the way I've played set my team, I think we do well under Wilkinson. Just because he didn't mind the long ball, and we could do that.
Beany, your manager?
It's a tough one. Just Bielsa. Like, it's got to, look, the fact is O'Leary was an era where we had a lot of good players playing for us. Bielsa turned a team, a championship, mid-table championship team, into a 9th place Premier League team within 3 seasons. How many teams have really done that without spending stupid amounts of money? It don't happen.
Leicester.
Probably won't happen. I mean, Leicester spent a couple of years in Premier League before that happened, though, didn't it?
When we nearly got relegated, then won the league?
Yeah, I mean, all right.
We all of a sudden. We all of a sudden from a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, I'm just trying to touch Beanie's nerve because I want to prove a point, right? So, Beanie, at no point have you mentioned the legendary Tony Yeboah.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'm trying to touch your nerve to get the aggression out of you. So, I want to prove a point.
Are you going to do an unpopular opinion?
No, I'm not.
Oh, I thought you might want.
Don't get me started.
Right.
So, I've given you an opinion here, Beanie. Agree or disagree? You know the rules. Tony Yeboah was just a 2-strike wonder. He did nothing else.
Don't get me started on that. So I'm going to defend him.
Defend him?
Yeah, I'm going to defend him. So he scored a lot of goals. He was our top scorer for 3 seasons straight. He didn't just have the wonder goal. He had the strength. He had the ability to run in behind. And with a better manager, potentially, or a better group of players around him, who could arguably be one of our best strikers, he just come in an era when we didn't have the best players around us. I think he'd got in most of the teams in the Premier League at that moment in time. And not just his thunderbolts. You'll remember him for his thunderbolts, but a lot of Leeds fans remember him for Christmas Eve. Only team up until last season to have won a game on Christmas Eve because it was the only game played. We beat Scum 3-1, and he absolutely mullered Steve Bruce. So look, he had everything. He could pass a ball. He could create chances for other players, and he had that thunderbolt in him. Just because that's what everyone loves, a thunderbolt. Why not? But yeah, he had everything. He had everything in his locker. Unfortunately, right player, wrong time.
Think about it. Brilliant.
Think about it.
I will think about it, and I'll get back to you on that because I don't believe a word.
Right, listen, Kanye, get the AI ready so that Beany can do his test. Let's just run through Beany. While he's doing that, you got to be the judge now. Whose team are you picking out of mine and Kanye? So Kanye's was, rattle through your team, can you, Kanye? Or do you want me to do it?
Robinson, Keller, Radebe, Woodgate, Matteo, with Batty, McAllister, Bowyer, Kuhl on the left, Rafinha on the right, big Brian Dean up top.
Right, that's his. Mine's a little bit more old school. Martin, Kelly and Hart fullbacks, Radebe and Rio centre. I've gone for Batty holding and McAllister passing. I've got Rafinha on the right, Q on the left, and I've got Big Mark for Duca and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink up front. Who wins that game out of me and Fraser?
I think you, Michael, to be honest with you. I think I've always said this, so I'll explain. I'll give myself a rationale. I think we were a Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink away of being able to get in that Champions League final. We got beat by Valencia at semi-final. We battered Valencia first game, and we just ran out of a bit of steam. We didn't have another. We had Viduka and Smith, but we didn't have another player that could run the line like a Viduka or score goals like Viduka. Hasselbaink was that bloke for us for the 2 seasons here at Leeds. I would argue that them two would score stupid amounts of goals in the same team. And if you've got Kewell and Rafinha either side feeding them two,
loading the bullets in the gun.
Yeah.
Right. So the question is, who are you going up against? You can either go up against the Arsenal side, Terry Ellens. You can go up the Inter Milan side of Marco, or you can go up against the reigning champions, Liverpool. Who are you pitting this Leeds team against in the AI fantasy matchup?
Liverpool beat Arsenal. Who did Terry Ellens pick?
David Raya in goal.
David
Raya in goal.
I remember him actually. I watched it. Yeah.
Don't remember my face.
No wonder they got beat.
Mate.
Next to be telling me Aaron Ramsdale were an honourable mention.
Yeah.
We had him started at left wing.
Do you know what? Let's go reigning champions. Let's go for it.
Come on,
you want a bit, do you?
Go hard and go home.
That's savvy. I love all that. Mate, what a guest you've been. So while you're putting that in and you'll give us the breakdown, just give it. What am I going to see with Somerville? Because I'll be honest, at the minute, he ain't had a lot of starts. When he's come on, he's looked electric. He looks a little bit lightweight. He's built like a 12-year-old girl. But I'm worried he's got Ben Rama syndrome in that he lit up the championship, but I'm not sure he's got end product.
Look, I think the problem is with Somerville, and he's joined a team where you actually have two really good wingers. Kudus is quality. Bowens gets in most teams in Premier League. Jared Bowen is that good. Somerville was our best player last season. He could do things with a football and win games for us. But he had Jorginho Rutter pulling strings. He had Nonto. He had Dan James. We had a bit of everything that season. He needed to test himself in the Premier League. I think he's joined at a time where you've got quite a settled wingers, obviously with the exception of Kudus getting sent off. It was lovely to see him score against them last weekend.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Look, I think he'll come good. I just think he needs to get used to it. His first sort of season for Leeds was that first season in Premier League under Marsh, that second season, where we beat Liverpool. He's got winner against Liverpool, but he's not going to be there to wrestle a man off the ball. He's going to be getting space. He's good at creating chances. I just think he needs a run of games, to be really honest with you. He's up. He'd be in my championship best 11 if I was picking an 11 based in the championship, but not in the Premier League.
Has he got end product in the Premier League? Goals and assists?
If he gets the chances, yes. Because I mean, how many wingers in the championship score for? Like, he got something like 38 goals and assists. Mm. Like, even though it's a league below, you've still got to finish them chances. Mm. So yeah, I mean, look, he's up there. He's going to be up there. But look, the fact is, he just needs time. It's a different level, and when there's an expectation as well. There's an expectation with West Ham having the success you've had over the last 3 or 4 years in Europe and stuff like that. There is an expectation that you go to that next level. You wouldn't have sacked Moyes and brought in. Who did you bring in? Is it Lopetegui?
Lopetegui, yeah.
Lopetegui. So look, you wouldn't have brought them. You wouldn't have brought him in if you weren't looking to go to the next level. So look, the fact is he'll come good. He just needs time.
Looking forward to it. I want to see him left, Kudus in the 10, Bowen right. But yeah, are we ready to go, Kanye?
We are. Right. I just need one more input from Beany. Beany, unfortunately, you need to now decide on the kit. So I put a couple ready for you. We've got the Junior Firpo. We've seen covering your face.
Oh, gorgeous player, gorgeous kit.
Didn't make your 11 a reading heart as well. Imagine that being insulted.
Yeah, but Junior Firpo's a championship legend. He's a terrible left back at Premier League.
We've just got that just for the nostalgia. The Evening Post.
That is some kit, by the way.
You like that one? We've got your mate, Tony Ubobes, with the collar. Got his Vicar kit out.
Some right kits, to be fair.
And we've got, because I know you're a cider drinker when you're out with me, Beany, we've got them for the Strong Ball.
Yeah,
Which kit?
We'll go with that one.
You want to go strong ball?
We'll go strong ball kit, yeah.
See, I'm even saying it Yorkshire.
There.
Some strong ball. Right then, so
belting kits there. I like the red.
Let me confirm to you, Connor's Liverpool team: Alisson, Alexander-Arnold, Carragher, Van Dijk, Robertson, Salah, Gerrard, Alonso, Mane, Suarez, Torres. This is the match report. Okay, just in case on the BBC wants to hire me. The game begins with intense energy, with Liverpool looking to press high and Leeds trying to capitalise on a quick counter-attack using the pace of Rafinha and Kuhl. Okay. In the 15th minute, a cross from Alexander-Arnold found Fernando Torres, whose header was expertly saved by Nigel Martin. Leeds responded with a swift counter-attack, and Mark Viduka put Leeds ahead with a classy finish past Alisson.
Could have a new
Leeds.
Could be a new champion.
In the 35th minute, Salah's dazzling dribbling got past Dominic Matteo. Why has he put Matteo in your team?
It's not even in it.
No, he's changed your left back.
Even he don't agree with Ian Hart.
Yeah, he's changed your left back from Ian Hart to Dominic Matteo.
Ian Hart would have stopped him.
Wow.
Ian Hart would have pocketed Salah.
Mate, you know what? I'm just checking. I did put Hart as well. Look, I did put Hart there.
Blow the whistle. 1-0. 1-0. They've won. Blow the whistle.
We won't talk about the eligible player.
Right, well.
And his cross found Suarez, who scored with a clinical finish, put Liverpool 1-1. No, wait a minute. This has gone mad because it's saying that Viduka scored. Oh, he's offside. Viduka was offside.
VAR.
Viduka was offside. It's a madness. So it's Liverpool 1-0.
Webb, who's ref.
Oh no, he ain't got his Man U shirt on.
I feel like the Liverpool fan commentating on the Liverpool game here is a bit dodgy, don't you? Right, go on in. I trust you. We trust you. Right, 1-0 Liverpool. Go on, I've seen it.
Half time, 1-0 Liverpool. Second half, Leeds came out fighting, and in the 50th minute, had to be Bowyer, didn't it? Fighting. Bowyer's through ball found Kuhl, who slotted it past Alisson to equalise. One apiece.
Back in a game.
Liverpool quickly regained control with Gerrard Alonso dominating the midfield battle. In the 70th minute, a powerful long-range strike from Gerrard found the back of the net, giving Liverpool the lead. Leeds pushed for another equaliser, and Rafinha's pace and trickery on the wing caused problems for Robertson. Sounds like Sunday when Saka had him in his pocket. In the 80th minute, Viduka found space in the box and headed Rafinha's cross home to level the score.
Beany, it's on.
With the match poised at 2-2, both teams were relentless. In the 89th minute, a brilliant solo run from Sadio Mane saw him beat two defenders before cutting back to Suarez, who scored the decisive goal. Leeds' final attempt was thwarted by a goal line clearance from Van Dijk.
Goal line clearance.
Full-time score, Leeds United 2, Liverpool 3. Man of the match, Luis Suarez for his match-winning performance and two crucial goals, a thrilling encounter with end-to-end action showcasing the best of both teams. What a match.
Valiant effort.
Doesn't surprise me that Leeds were relentless and Leeds put the energy in.
I think you'd do Arsenal. I'm not going to lie. I genuinely think your team would have done Arsenal because you just put the ball on David Raya.
Well, I've got a couple of difficult questions for you to end on, Beany, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you, there's 4 scenarios, and I'm going to give you 4 teams. You might have seen this before, yeah? Seen this before? So one of these teams are going to get relegated to the division below where they are now. One of these teams are starting back at the bottom of the football league, and they're starting at League 2. One of them is dissolved forever. One of them wins a trophy against Leeds in the last minute.
Right. Okay.
Your 4 teams are Man United, Huddersfield, Bradford, Chelsea.
Oh, Christ. Oh, wow. You did say it was difficult. Oh.
Have I thrown you a curveball with the Huddersfield and Bradford?
Dissolved. Scum.
Scum, right? But that's it. Man United are dissolved. But wouldn't you miss the rivalry?
No. Yeah, I would. Look, if I got the option of the 4, I would not want them to win a trophy over us. I've seen it happen. I've seen us. I remember probably in 1999, we beat Arsenal 1-0. Hasselbaink scored winner, and it gave them the title. equally, about 3 seasons later, we beat Arsenal at Highbury 3-2 to stay up. And in us staying up, they won the title. So I've seen it happen. And as much as Leeds I'd rather Leeds be successful. And if we got promoted this season, they won a trophy, I'd take that all day. But if I had the option, it'd be them dissolved. It would be Chelsea to the bottom of the pyramid because they spend billions of pounds. It'd be funny to see Cole Palmer in League Two.
League Two.
Would he be doing that at Scunthorpe on a Tuesday night?
Yeah, it would be freezing, wouldn't he? Yeah, you've got Bradford and Huddersfield left. One of them's got to win a trophy, and one of them's got to be relegated.
I'd go Bradford relegated, and I'd go Huddersfield. Huddersfield. There's a fake rivalry between Leeds and Huddersfield, and it's all Huddersfield. It's one of them where they've had, because we've played them that many times over the last 10 years. It's unreal, but they've sort of created this rivalry that we hate them as much as they do. There's more Leeds fans in Huddersfield than there is Huddersfield fans, so it's just a town full of Leeds fans.
Brilliant. Right, two more quick questions. More quick questions, Beany.
Yeah.
Right, you've got to sign for Leeds one Man United player. You've got to sign an enemy player. Who are you having?
None of them. I'm only joking.
otherwise, Leeds go out of business.
Oh, wow. That's a difficult question because they're all shit.
It's a difficult question. That's why this section's called difficult question.
Difficult questions. Yeah. Alejandro Garnacho,
right? And finally, I'll rewind your life back to age 20.
Yeah.
You've been offered a contract, professional contract, £100 a week. You're the next wonder kid. Beany up front or whatever position you played, right?
Yeah.
But it's for Man United. And it's either be a professional footballer for Man United on that money or nothing. Are you playing for United?
I wouldn't have met Fraser if I'd have been playing for them because I probably wouldn't have gone to Tenerife. So I'm saying no.
No, but you get to Tenerife. You get to Tenerife on a pre-season tour, and you're still meeting. You're on a stag do with the boys in Tenerife. But if you've got a chance to be a professional footballer and change your life and riches beyond your wildest dreams,
my heart says yes. My heart says no. My head says yes. You've got to go in your head with that sort of stuff. If somebody throws $100,000 a week at you, I think you've got to take it on you. Let's be realistic. Look, I don't wear red at home, and there's a reason I don't wear red at home. It's because I hate them with a passion. Like, can't stand the club. But if you're in that scenario where you actually are offered a contract, it'd be very hard to turn down, wouldn't it? Like, I've never been in a situation where I'd have to be in that scenario. So,
all right, let's make it a bit more interesting. Let's make it a bit more interesting, that one.
Imagine a juices I could buy with $100,000.
It wouldn't last you long, Elena, because not me charging you. I can't remember the last time I charged you. So let's make it more interesting. This is not to be $100,000. This is your chance to be a professional footballer. You sign for United, you've got a 90% chance of being a professional footballer. If you stay at Leeds, you are not going to be a professional footballer. You're going to end up working a normal job, working for DWP or something like that, something crazy like that.
That's current work, boring. I love my job, to be fair. I actually properly love my job. So it's like I quite enjoy it. So it's difficult because I don't hate my job. So
or would you want to be a professional footballer?
Everybody loves.
Just have to be a United player.
Everybody wanted to be like when I was growing up, I wanted to be a professional footballer. I just wasn't good enough.
How old are you, Beany?
34.
So you'd have come through the ranks with just above you would have been players like Gary Neville and the Neville brothers. You'd have to look up to them.
Nobody grows up to be a Gary Neville.
Gary Neville didn't grow up to be a Gary Neville. Gary Neville grew up to be Gary Keller.
I've got a last one. I've got a last one for you, right? You speak really well, Beany. You've fucking smashed it on this episode. You've been an amazing guest. Well, thanks for coming on, mate. You speak really well. You're a fountain of knowledge. You really know your Leeds. You really know your football, full stop. If you get the opportunity now you get a company come in and say, we're going to sponsor you. Make us a YouTube channel, right? And we're going to sponsor you and pay you X amount a week. Yeah, good money. But the trouble is, Leeds have got a following, but Manchester United's much more profitable. Will you start as a Manchester United channel and pretend to be a Man United fan, like a certain channel is suggesting that Mark Goldbridge is actually a Nottingham Forest fan, but he started the United stand.
I can't also tell you what I think of Mark Goldbridge, because if it goes to the wrong people, it could be incriminating. No.
No, you wouldn't do it.
No,
you wouldn't do it.
No, not in the slightest.
Tell us off.
Because, to be honest with you, like, he sits in his room and watches a game and starts swearing at the TV and stuff. Never seen Old Trafford. That'd be his bush trucker trial. Like, yeah, I mean, look, the fact is everybody earns money from doing certain things, and I've got no against people wanting to earn money, but I couldn't lie and watch a team want. I'd love to do a channel where I could slag them off for an hour. That'd be great. So, like, I'd do an anti-channel so that if
I think we've just done that.
Yeah,
I think we've done hour and 20. You've done
90 minutes where I just abuse them for 90 minutes. That'd be unbelievable. I could do that every Sunday.
Beany, mate, you've smashed it. You've been my favourite guest yet. No offence to anyone else, you've smashed it. Good luck to Leeds for the rest of the season. Kanye, anything you want to say before we go?
Listen, I say it once, say it again. It's man like Beany. We know.
Smashed it. Absolutely smashed it. Listen, get in the comments. Let us know. Our pleasure. Let us know, and you'll have to come back at some other point, and we'll talk some more general football or some more Leeds. Let us know in the comments if you agree with Beany's 11, what you think of ours. If there's anyone we forgot to mention, like, subscribe, get involved in the comments, because it's the interaction we really need. And if you think your team have got what it takes to come and knock Connor and his Liverpool Legends off the top spot, Beany nearly did it a day. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. Until next time on
Opinions from Offside.
Opinions from Offside.
We'll see you soon. Keep balling.